We're going to wait a few more seconds. Hello, everyone, for people to join. It's 2 minutes past the time, and this is going to be a very short YouTube live broadcast. A few more seconds, and we'll get started. Okay, thank you for joining us. Welcome, everyone. This is a live masterclass, and my name is Miguel.
Hi, my name is Florian.
And we're having this session from Dublin, Google headquarters in EMEA. It's going to be a short 15 minutes of your time. You know, you're busy coding, you're busy monetizing, optimizing your account, but we wanted to share with you one specific technique that seems to be working very well, especially if you currently have an app that has in-app purchase. So if you're watching this, you should have an app that has in-app purchase to make it relevant. And we're going to show you a way of testing that might increase your total revenue by combining in-app purchase and rewarded ads. So let's have a look at the really short agenda for today. So Florian will give us an overview of what rewarded, also called incentivized ads are. Most of you know what this is, so it's going to be really quick just to get on the same page. And then we'll look specifically at how AdMob rewarded ads are different and how you can include third-party ad networks to do mediation. Once we know all that, and that's going to be about 5 minutes of walking through that, we'll get into the actual testing rewarded video versus your existing in-app purchase offering. And lastly, some of you asked some questions, so we selected a couple that seem to summarize what the concerns are about this approach. So let's get started with rewarded video, mediation, platform, and demand. Florian.
Well, thank you very much. So as you may know, or I'm sure all of you know what rewarded videos are, but just to make sure that we're all on the same page, typical example of a rewarded video ad is in a gaming app where someone fails to complete a level and you then get the option to either go premium or to watch a video to get an extra life. And some will choose the option to go premium, others, or the majority, will go on the watch the video ad and we'll watch the video ad and then gets an extra life and we'll continue playing. So what's AdMob's rewarded video demand? This is a typical example of a rewarded video ad. And what you have is you will always see the video ad in full screen mode, and you will always have the opportunity to leave the ad, which is something that Google always offers and which is key to the user experience. So if someone accidentally clicked on watching the rewarded video, they still have the opportunity to leave the ad, compared to other networks where you are forced to watch the whole video. After completing the video, you then have the option to install the specific app or go to the end card of the advertiser. Here it's summarized a little bit more. As I said, the key features are that there's a countdown timer and the user is allowed to leave the ad whenever he wants. So some of you may know that we offered rewarded video in mediation before. So the mediation is now with our demand possible as well. And what mediation helps with is it will help you to smoothen out the CPM fluctuations across different networks, meaning you will be able to increase your revenue if one of the networks drops in the CPM, others might be higher, or remain on the same level and don't drop, and therefore they will be able to serve you. You can run all of that through ad mediation, and you can have several different networks within the mediation stack, and the highest paying network will then serve the ad, which means for you it's higher revenue in the end. And here's a list of an example list of those networks that do offer mediation, and more specifically, these are networks that offer ad network optimization on a country-specific level. So
thank you.
Miguel will take over now.
Thank you, Florian. So now we're all on the same page. Hopefully, none of this is news, except that the list of compatible third-party ad networks keeps growing. Now, let's say that you have an in-app purchase application and you're wondering, okay, I'm offering a reward, I'm offering an incentive for people to pay me money. Is there another way that I could provide the reward by using rewarded ads? Most likely, you're either a gaming app or a utility app, right? Maybe you have a levels-based application where they pay you to get extra levels in your game, or perhaps they get extra lives or coins. This is a very typical scenario for gamers. If you have a utility app, though, usually the in-app purchase offer, it's either used to customize. Maybe you can use some specific skin or color. Maybe you have extra features. So you have a very baseline free version of the application and people pay you to get extra features. Or maybe you have some users that really don't like ads and you're giving them the option, instead of getting a bad review for this users, pay me some money and I will remove the ads, either forever or for a period of time. So that's most likely your current status if you have an in-app purchase. Now, let's say, if I'm going to ask you, what are your in-app purchase results right now? How would that compare with the rewarded? What do I mean by that? There's two things that you need to look at, and you know the answer for your application. One is the conversion rate. That means out of every 100 users, how many are actually paying you for what you're offering? Let's say that you're offering extra levels. Out of every 100 users, if one of them pays you, let's say that payout of $5, well, that means that in 1,000 users, you would be getting $5. 1%, sorry, that would be 0.1 conversion rate. The payout $5, you would get $5 in 1,000 users. The point here being that the conversion rate for in-app purchase is usually quite low. If you're doing 1%, you're doing really great. Most of the partners that we speak with are around this number, but very unlikely that you're above 1%. Very usually it's 0.1, 0.2, etc. The other point is the payout. Usually the higher the payout, the lower the conversion rate. Obviously, there's less people that are willing to pay that amount of money. But these are the only two factors that you need to look at for what we're going to propose. What if instead of people paying you to get that extra lives, they watched a video ad? Well, what you can expect is going to happen is that the first question mark, the conversion rate, is probably going to go up, right? People are usually more willing to watch an ad instead of paying money. In this case, actually, would be the advertiser that is paying you the money as a developer. On the other hand, there is the payout. If you have an in-app purchase offering that is $30, it's very unlikely that a rewarded ad is going to pay you as a developer that amount. So the payout is probably going to go down. And the third question mark is a factor of the conversion rate and the payout. So these are all question marks that depend on your specific case. So let us test this. Decide a reward right now and take a moment and think about your application, whether it's a utility app or it is a game. What's one reward that you're giving right now through in-app purchase? I'm going to take the example of you get a bulk of extra levels, right? And now what we're going to do is select a percentage of our users to experience the offering of that bulk of extra levels through rewarded ads instead of in-app purchase. In particular, if you're using Firebase, you can use the remote config option to select, say, 5% of your audience is not going to get the IAP in-app purchase offer. They're going to get a rewarded ad option. What does this do? This allows you to take out the question marks that we saw in the previous slide and put a real number there. You're not really looking at CPM. You're not really looking at conversion rate. What you're looking at is the third question mark. What is the total dollars that you're getting for every 1,000 users? what we're seeing is that partners that test out this approach, which is very conservative. I mean, if you're scared of 5% of your users, maybe you can start with just 1%. You just want to get enough data to make a decision. Test it out, perhaps for 24 hours, perhaps for a full week. And there's 3 possible scenarios that you're going to get. The first scenario is that the rewarded ads is making you less money, right? The conversion rate might be higher, but the payout is so much lower that you're better off keeping in-app purchase as it was. Well, at least you know that you tried it and that you're not leaving money on the table and you can sleep better at night. But let's go at option B and C. This is where it gets interesting. Let's say that rewarded makes you equal money as your in-app purchase. That is, for every 1,000 users, you're making the same amount of dollars if you offer those extra levels through in-app purchase, or if you offer them by them watching a rewarded video ad. Well, you have 2 options. You can either extrapolate that 5% of the users all the way to 100%, taking away in-app purchase, or you may want to put both in-app purchase and rewarded. In other words, let the user decide how he wants to get those extra levels. Does he want to pay cash, or does he want to use some of his time by watching a rewarded video ad? Now, you may be asking, but if it's equal money, what's the point? Why waste my time? I'm just going to keep it as it is with in-app purchase. Well, here's what we've seen. Put yourself in the shoes of a user. Some people just don't like to pay or just cannot pay because they don't have a credit card. But everyone likes to have the choice of deciding how he gets that reward. So what we're seeing is, on average, most people have better reviews when you give them the option of either paying a purchase or watching the rewarded video. And on average, they're happier by having the option of watching a rewarded video to get the reward instead of having to pay. All things being equal, of course. We're talking about averages. This is why this is something that you need to test. But if you're only looking at the dollars and you're making equal money, there is a good argument to be made for increasing your ratings, which is very important, as you know, by providing a better user experience through the way that you monetize. And now we get to option C, which is the obvious one. What if rewarded makes you more money? Well, I think we don't need to explain that it probably makes sense for your business to swap from in-app purchase to rewarded altogether.
What I would like to add as well is what we have seen, how users interact differently with rewarded ads, because they, first of all, they choose to click on watching the ad, which means they interact very differently with the ad itself because they know it's going to pop up rather than an interstitial, which suddenly pops up without them knowing. So it also, in the user flow, it's a whole different experience.
That's a good point. Thank you. So, real quick summary in 5 steps. Remember, we asked you, like, what's one specific in-app purchase offering that you currently have, and use it as a test for yourself. And let's say that you've chosen your game where you have extra levels. So what do you do next once this video is over? There's 5 steps to get this done. You create a new rewarded interstitial ad unit, and you implement the reward interstitial ad unit and add the unit ID where the ad will be shown in the application, right? So this is like the technical part. If you want, you can set up mediation, right? Steps 3 and 4 allow you to put third-party mediation ad networks so that if the fill rate is not as good as you would have, for example, with an interstitial, this is going to help you get the fill rate as close to 100% as possible. And then lastly, point number 5, this is what we're talking about, doing the test. This test will allow you, specifically with the remote config in Firebase, to see whether in-app purchase or rewarded for your specific offering as a better result. Now let's ask a couple of questions that we got from people signing up to this live webinar.
So looking at the first question, which was one of the questions we got the most, so that's why it's one of the ones we chose. What is the expected eCPM for rewarded compared to interstitials and banners? So
yeah, you guys always ask us about eCPM. I think, Florian, we should mention that eCPM is part of it, but you need to look at the fill rate. You're not paid in eCPMs, you're paid in dollars, or you're looking at local currency, right? So make sure that you're looking at the dollars at the end of the month. That's the first thing that we should mention. And then overall, you have, we type down a little bit of a more longer explanation there, but you could put a scale of banners, and then interstitials, and then rewarded in terms of the CPM. Would that be fair to say?
Yes.
Right. So again, test it for your specific market and your audience, but that's a fair expectation to be had.
And the second question we had is what to do when there's no fill rate.
Right. Comes back to the first one. Well, if you don't have enough fill rate with AdMob demand, then go ahead and add 2 or 3 other ad networks, and that should help you fill out the rest of your impressions with rewarded ad networks. So we promise to keep this short. We are 17 minutes past the hour, and we're going to throw out a challenge there. Could you be our next AdMob success story, specifically with rewarded? So if this makes sense to you, if it makes logical sense that you're already doing an app purchase and offering something, and that perhaps your users prefer to watch a video instead of paying you cash because you're going to be paid by the advertiser, then our suggestion is that when you test this out, when you name the ad units, just put it rewarded ad unit when you're creating, as we went through the 5 steps. And that would allow us to see what is the performance that you're getting. If we manage to see, we're going to pick out from those that have a better before and after experience, and feel free to reach out to us. So we'll follow up after this call with the link. But if you want us to help you in the setup, because case by case, you may be doubting what to offer in the reward or where to put the reward. But the point being, name your ad unit somewhat rewarded ad unit, rewarded interstitials, whatever it may be. And that will leave us in our radar. And we will be looking in the next few weeks, and those that have a biggest delta, a biggest uplift, a biggest difference, success story to tell, we may be reaching out, and we hope that we can make you a marketing case study. Anything else that you might want to add, Florian?
Yeah, adding to that, if there's anyone who's watching who did not register, please do so we can track for the success story.
Fantastic. And thank you very much, everyone, for watching. We try to keep it shorter. We listen to your feedback from previous sessions, and let us know if you want to continue listening to very specific action-oriented sessions on how to increase your revenue with AdMob. Thank you very much, and we hope you have a good afternoon wherever you may be.
Thank you very much.
Goodbye then.